It's funny, it's honestly so tough to remember a world before Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout. With a familiar feel, but totally inventive and revolutionary playstyle and aesthetic, it's not surprising that this game is so popular already. That being said though, with every game comes specific playstyles and tactics to assure victory. Hello all you gamers out there, my name is Jack and welcome back to Top 10 Gaming. I'm super excited because today we're talking about the game that has taken the internet by storm, Fall Guys, and the types of players that you will run into while playing. Now hopefully none of you out there fall into these categories, but if you do, I am so sorry for calling you out. Maybe just, I don't know, try switching up your playstyle and you might win some more crowns. I can't really say too much though because I've only won one. Anyways, let's get right into it, shall we? Number 10, the Quitter. Easily the most common type of Fall Guys players out there, mostly because these players aren't exclusive to just this game. There are two major subclasses of this kind of player out there, the Rage Quitter and the Preemptive Quitter. The Rage Quitter is exactly what it sounds like. They just get far too frustrated with the game, which is incredibly easy to do when it comes to Fall Guys, and they quit the game either because they're falling behind and have absolutely no chance of winning, or because they royally messed up and it's going to prevent them from qualifying. And the Preemptive Quitter, on the other hand, doesn't even attempt to play around. They know they're going to have no chance at winning. So as soon as they see a game mode they don't like, they drop out and get right back in the queue for another session with some new players. Number 9, the Fruit Forgetter. I will say I pride myself in my ability to remember things. Matching games are definitely in my wheelhouse, but I can understand why some of you out there have some trouble with it. In Perfect Match, the goal is to memorize the icons on the tiles you're standing on within the time limit given you, and then to match the icon on the screen to avoid the slime. Put simply, the Fruit Forgetter is someone who really struggles with these types of games. This is usually what runs through head. So it's orange, grape, apple, banana. Orange, grape, apple, banana. Apple, or wait, oh god, no, I lost it. And now I'm in the slime. Great, who decided to put a mind game and a jumping game? Now it is a tough game mode, guys, I understand. You will get there one day, I promise, I know it. Number 8, the Fashionista. You can probably guess why this player type is dubbed the Fashionista, but I'll give you a little explanation anyways. Putting the simplest terms, the Fashionista is a Fall Guys player who cares more about the aesthetics of their character as opposed to, you know, the entire game. They tend to spend more time in the cosmetic screen than in actual matches, taking the time to perfectly plan out outfits for their character. This type has also been referred to as a jelly bean, and let me explain why. In 1920s America, a jelly bean was a layabout who dressed fancy but didn't actually offer anything to the world. Now I will say that is a bit of an extreme way to categorize these players because everyone is allowed to enjoy games in their own way. I'll be the first to admit that in most games I play, I generally go for what looks most aesthetically pleasing. But I can see why those comparisons have been drawn since there's no real benefit to customization in the specific game other than, I don't know, somewhat differentiating yourself from the other players. Number 7, the Physicist. Named pretty much entirely based on sarcasm, the Physicist is a type of player that you'll see during the Seesaw qualifying round. If you're not familiar with this game mode, it's basically a race to the finish that supports anywhere between 40 to 60 players, and you have to run and balance across rows of seesaws to reach the finish line in order to qualify. Now I say the Physicist is so sarcastically named because they are among the boldest of Fall Guys players who love to test the limits of the seesaws. For example, imagine you're heading towards a seesaw with, say, 4 or 5 on one side. A normal player would attempt to either, I don't know, jump on another seesaw, or just go on the opposite side of the other players to try and balance it out a bit, right? Well, a Physicist player throws all caution to the wind and jumps right into the crowd, tilting the seesaw even more, risking losing it all just to see what happens. Honestly, I say, as long as I'm on a separate seesaw, they can go for it all they want. Number 6, the Grabber. Easily one of the most annoying Fall Guy player types out there that everyone has come into contact with at least once. We all know the ones, those guys who make it all the way to the end zone, generally in Seesaw, who stand there and guard the goal and grab onto other players, preventing them from making it in. It's so frustrating and honestly very unnecessary because there is absolutely no benefit in doing so. There's no achievement for playing Red Rover with the other players. The closest thing would be, I don't know, Fall Bay, which requires you to just share a hug with a Fall Guy, but that's it. Upon looking for an actual reason why people do this, I stumbled across an answer that kind of explains it. Apparently they do this to whittle down the top players in the early stages, so they stand a better chance of winning in the long run. Honestly, all I have to say is they don't hand out crowns and wins for messing around with other players, gamers, so play nice and play fair. Number 5, the Cuddler. Similar to the Grabber, the Cuddler takes it up just a little bit of a notch as both players grab onto each other and hold each other in a nice little embrace. It reminds me of clinching in sports, which actually serves a huge purpose because it disrupts your opponent's rhythm and puts the control of the situation in your hands because you're catching them off guard. In Fall Guys, this tactic can be used pretty effectively as it can either break your opponent's stride, causing them to falter a bit, or it can pop an egg out of their hands and egg scramble and give your teammates the chance to snatch it up and secure a win for your team. However, I, alongside many others on the internet, like to think that players are doing this just because they're really missing that physical intimacy during this pandemic and are turning to virtual hugs with their fellow Fall Guys players. Number 4, the Gladiator. Probably the most ruthless type of player that you'll encounter in Fall Guys is the Gladiator. Now, if you're not familiar with what a gladiator is, let me tell you. In ancient Rome, a gladiator was a person who was generally armed with a weapon that was compelled to fight to the death in public arenas against another person or wild animal purely for the entertainment of it. Alright, so now that you've had your history lessons, let's talk about the Gladiator Fall Guys players, who just straight up do not care about winning whatsoever and really only play to mess around and defeat other players. That's it. All they want to do is feel the glory of grabbing onto you and throwing you into the goo. Maybe gladiators isn't the best term, I don't know. If you've got a better name for this type of player, let me know in the comments below. Number 3, the Super Mario. Appearing pretty much exclusively in the final round known as Hexagon, where to win all you have to do is be the last player standing, comes the Super Mario player. If you haven't seen Hexagon, what happens is once you touch a platform, it disappears, so the goal is to always be on the move so you don't fall down to the next level, as there are a finite amount of levels before the goo. What the Super Mario player does is they strategically jump from platform to platform to space them out, making them last much longer than normal. It's kind of like playing Mario and Snake at the same time in a way because it's a lot of jumping and planning. It requires a decent amount of concentration and brain power to not mess it up, so kudos to the gamers who are able to actually pull it off and win. I will say though, as someone who doesn't use that method, it can be really annoying to play against someone who does, because they can totally blindside you and disrupt your flow, making you fall to the lower levels. We get it. You're good at jumping. Great. Number 2, the Sisyphus. This is a type of Fall Guy player that you'll see specifically in the rock and roll game where you have to work together as a team to push a ball through a slight obstacle course in order to get it to the finish line. Now, if you're not familiar with the Greek myth of Sisyphus, because you're not a big old mythology nerd like me, let me give you the TLDR. Basically, he was punished for his craftiness and deceitfulness by being forced to roll an immense boulder up a hill, only for it to roll down every time it was close to the top, forcing him to repeat this action forever and ever. In playing this game, you've probably seen that many players leave the ball behind and get on the defense, doing their best to hold up and block other teams from reaching the goal. It's a great tactic. However, if no one remembers to stick with the ball on the course, there's no way to actually get back up to it, meaning these players are trying to hold up an enemy victory that they can't actually prevent. Selfishness never pays off, kids. And number 1, the Lemming. Don't know what a lemming is? No worries. Well, they are a small rodent that live in or around the Arctic that are known for one specific thing and one specific thing only. There is a myth surrounding lemmings that states every few years, when they feel that their population is getting far too big, a big group of them will get a running start and just jump off of a cliff. Look it up, I swear I'm not making it up. In actuality, this isn't true, but the word lemming is now used to describe someone that follows someone or something blindly. In terms of Fall Guys, the lemming player types are often the ones you'll see constantly struggling to jump over gaps. They're basically the polar opposite of the Super Mario player. This is usually seen in the Dizzy Heights round, and I feel like we all know exactly the spot I'm talking about too. You know that blind little gap that everyone seems to forget about at the top of that blue ramp? It's super funny to watch these kind of players, but it is not a fun playstyle. Trust me. That'll be it for this video, everyone. Let us know down in the comments below what type of Fall Guys player you realize that you are today. Or, if you're too scared to out yourself like that, then let us know what type of player is the most annoying to play with. Now, if you like getting your gaming tidbits from Connor, Amanda, and I, be sure to check out our other videos and playlists on our channel. I myself am a huge Pokemon guy, so I personally love the Top 10 Pokemon playlist. While you're there, if you aren't subscribed to Top 10 Gaming already, I highly recommend you hit that subscribe button, because we are coming at you every day with some of that sweet, sweet gaming news. And honestly, while you're at it, why not ring that notification bell so you know whenever we upload a video. Once again, my name is Jack Stevens. Thank you so much for watching, gamers. Keep trying to grab that crown, and we'll see you in the next video.